I do want to talk to Marc Jackson about a lot of things in this one. He did play in the league. And, the first thing I want to kind of bring you in, Mark, to discuss is, the fact that the Sixers had not played for 6 nights. Is that an excuse, or is there some legitimacy to say, look, as an NBA player or any professional athlete, you get in a rhythm, you get in a routine, you get that kind of, night after, typically you guys either play back-to-back or every other night. There's not too many times in the course of a regular season that you have 6 nights off. So is that an excuse, or is there some legitimacy to why the Sixers look slow and kind of did not communicate all that well?
That's a fact. It is. Anybody that played the game in the NBA will tell you you're used to a rhythm. You're used to getting a game that every 2 days or every other day. Every 3 days is a max, and that's a rarity. So it does throw you off. It throws your timing off. It throws your speed off, because the pace of, you cannot duplicate the pace of a game unless it's a game. You can practice as hard as you want. The game is a totally different animal. So with that being said, it has a lot of legitimacy to it, but I still think Boston's ability to shoot the ball last night was so impressive that I bet their coach don't even think they could duplicate that kind of shooting.
Yeah, 47% from 3. And I said, Mark, on most nights, you shoot 47%, you're beating the Warriors. I mean, you're going to win most nights of the week shooting 47%. But was there any concern at how they were able to make 47%? In other words, the looks they were getting.
Good point. They were getting some open looks that, I thought it was a couple of possessions, particularly when Justin Anderson was implemented into the game, that they was able to really close out well, do a better job of getting to the shooters, forcing them to put that ball down. For me, personally, I just really think it was a lot of slippage going on by the 76ers, where it wasn't a lot of communication. There wasn't a lot of running out, forcing those shooters off. Boston had some wide open looks, man. I mean, they were just shooting the ball like at will. It got to the point that Marcus Smart, who's not a great three-point shooter, shot 3 straight threes in a row because he was just so wide open. And I just think Boston had that green light last night. Sixers did not do a good job of getting out to him.
Hey, Mark, they really seem to go after JJ on the defensive end of the floor. Is that going to be an issue the Sixers have to be aware of if Brad Stevens keeps going after him?
They didn't just go after JJ, ladies and gentlemen. They went after Bellinelli as well. So I think that was big for their game plan. Whoever JJ and whoever Bellinelli's guarding attacked them, and they found success with that formula. Now, I will say this. JJ, to me, I think JJ is very adequate defender. He's not the best, but he's darn sure not a peg leg. He really can defend when on a given night. But last night, he just got exposed. Truth ball. Start of the game, we had him locked up on the young fella Tatum. Even though Tatum's a freshman, a rookie, Tatum has 2 inches on JJ. And his arms, his wingspans are so long, even if JJ was in his chest, his release point is so high, I don't think he can contest him. So I thought Tatum really took advantage of the mismatches having JJ on him.
Who's more to blame in that game last night, the Sixers shooting or the Sixers defense? And what's more concerning for you for the rest of the series?
I really think the defense was concerning to me, because the 76ers was not going to shoot that way more than 2 times in a 7-game series. They're not going to shoot 19%. If you play 7 games, I don't care who you're playing against. 76ers is not going to shoot 19% twice in the 7-game series. So the shooting would get over. The defense, to me, was a problem. It was an issue. They were exposed, and it was a problem that needs to be solved. Joel Embiid said it perfectly. I can't wait to see the adjustments made during the next couple of days to get them ready for the next game.
Yeah, we're talking about Marc Jackson here. They went to Joel. It seemed that the Celtics were content on letting the Sixers enter the ball to Joel and trade 3s for 2s.
I just think that was the 76ers had to really force that. Because it was the Sixers could not hit a shot. They were horrendous shooting that ball. So I really thought it was a lot of more ISO ball, for the 76ers more than usual because they was trying to find ways to score because their normal offense was not clicking. It wasn't in rhythm. It wasn't in beat. Ben Simmons couldn't get it going in the first half, and I thought that had a lot to do with his timing being off and the team being off because those shooters rely on Ben Simmons creating shots for them. And so I really thought the 76ers offense was not normal for what they're accustomed to and play the last, 30 games of the season.
How about Robert Covington last night? Jump to the offensive end of the floor and what his numbers were, specifically three-point shooting, but defensively it looked like he had a lot of trouble keeping up with Terry Rozier.
Yeah, for me, especially, I think Rocco kind of gets a lot of burnt from the criticism because he's such a streaky shooter. But one thing he's been consistent on is defense the entire year. He's been also doing some big plays, getting his hands on loose balls, deflections, getting some rebounds to help his team out. But I really thought he had some good plays, and I really thought he got beat a few times last night. And when he gets beat, the 76ers in a deep world of trouble because he's their pretty much perimeter defender, along with Ben, but we rely on Rocco to make it difficult for guys to score. Rozier had his way with Rocco last night.
Yeah. You look at the Miami series. Boston plays a similar style. I mean, they want to fight. They want to make it ugly. They want to make it kind of a grinded-out game. But they've got better players. Even without Kyrie, even without Jaylen Brown, they're still a better team than Miami. So is it concerning to play that style against a team that has better athletes and better players?
Boston has much better players, I agree, than Miami. But I don't think Boston really wants to be as physical as Miami because I think that takes them out of what they're doing. First of all, they don't have enough bodies to do that. It's like playing chess against somebody and you're missing half your board. So they're not built to try to be rough and tumble with the 76ers. They just got to stick to their system and see if other people stepping up for them can create shots for them and put points to the board. Because everybody on that team can defend. Everyone on that team, from 1 through 5, from the 6th man through the 12th man, can defend. So I don't think the coach is necessarily concerned about that. He's concerned about, can we score? Rozier hit 7 3-pointers last night.
Yeah.
Now, Rozier is a very good basketball player. He's got to be up in the range for most improved. He's been extraordinary in his playoffs, but he's not going to hit 7 for 9 on threes like that. So I just think it was their night. They're on their home court. The juices was flowing. The crowd had them pumped, and they just outplayed the 76ers. Outshot the 76ers last night. Even when they was trying to put the dagger in the 76ers, 76ers kept making runs, and then Miami would answer. But the 76ers never really got pretty much dominated the entire game into the last 4 minutes. So I think Boston is looking like we won that game, but we got lucky because we shot the ball so well. And on any other night when they didn't shoot, if they take that 49% and drop it down to 30%, they're losing that game. They're losing that game cold-heartedly. And I know the coach knows that, the players know that, and I know the 76ers, they got to feel comfortable. Like, you know what? We took their best shot. They shot the lights out the ball. They beat us, but we know we're going to get them next time.
Now, Mark, did you see something from what Boston did on defense that makes you kind of say, the Sixers are going to have some issues adjusting to do something to combat that? Because I thought, the Sixers weren't getting the game against Miami. They just missed. They had looks, but they were missing. Last night, the looks weren't quite as good as they were in that Miami series. So was there something that Boston did defensively that the Sixers are going to have an issue adjusting to fix?
Boston was incredible with their closeout defense. They didn't go for up fakes. They challenged the shooters. They forced the shooters to put the ball on the ground. And then when they did that, they still was able to recover and get a hand up and force the 76ers to contest this shot. So with that being said, for me, that was the almost eye-opening thing that shot out to me about Boston's defense, the ability to close out on those shooters with a hand up and stay down on their feet. They were disciplined. There you go. That's the word. They were a disciplined defensive perimeter team.
Do you think that Brad Stevens outcoached Brett Brown last night? Because a lot of people on social media certainly thought that was the case, and I tried to answer back to him like, look, Brett Brown can't make the threes fall. He can't do that.
You know what? Exactly. I really don't want to give that to Boston's coach yet. I think second game adjustment will be made. Then we can answer who outcoached who. I really think, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but I really believe Boston won that game because they were just hitting their three shots. That's the only reason I think Boston won that game. They were hitting their three, and the Sixers were not. If you give 76ers, don't have them shooting 35%. If the Sixers shot 29% from three, they would have won that game. And I'm just showing facts here. We have to put into reality the way Boston shot that ball. And a lot of the shots Freddie was uncontested. So that is something that is going to be drawn up in practice today and tomorrow. And look for the 76ers to really make an adjustment there and really aim and hone and getting out there. Did Coach Brown get out coached? No, I don't believe so. I just think the Sixers guards and the players has got outshot.
You talked about that practice, and they practiced at Harvard University today, Mark, so maybe they at least got smarter. That's the line I keep going with because they were at the Ivy League school. But what would the adjustments be then? If you're in that practice and you're watching them, what do you think Brett Brown and his crew are running those guys through? What are they hammering home to try and make you say the adjustment? What is the adjustment that needs to take place in those practices?
Communication. It was so many Boston got so many looks from the Sixers switching and not communicating. That's the problem with playing the switching D when you switch and everything. All five guys got to communicate. You can't have three. You can't have four. All five guys got to be great communicators. And it was at least 10 plays last night that Boston got wide open looks because the 76ers did not communicate on the switches. And then it was one point in the fourth quarter, Al Horford hit his last three up top where Joel helped on a pick and roll. Horford popped the top of the kick. And Ben there, Horford hit the three, right. And then Ben looked at Joel angry, like, man, we should have got out there. And I'm like, no, you should have got out there. So that's communication right there.
Yeah, and, I want to ask you about Horford because do you think that he's a matchup problem for what the skill set he has in the Sixers personnel? Is he a little bit of an issue? Because he seemingly always has a good night against the Sixers.
You know what? I think he is a mismatch nightmare because he's so smart. He's such a veteran savvy. He can pick and pop. He can take in a post and he recognizes mismatch. Now, that's where the team comes in. Because when a mismatch is recognized, all five players have to see it. And then they got to find a way to get the ball to the mismatch. So when the Sixers switched and Horford found himself with a smaller offensive player, defensive player, he went straight into the post. And within seconds, Boston Celtics found a way to get that ball into him down there. When we switched and he was left open on the perimeter, he was able to hit the three. So he is a mismatch nightmare. But I really think that the Sixers can make adjustments, and he will not have as many open looks.
Yeah, and then, of course, Tatum's kind of interesting. They seemingly had Redick trying to defend him a lot, and Brad Stevens was going after that one all night long. But if who's the matchup for Tatum? Is that a Covington thing? Do you anticipate that Covington goes that direction? Because Boston doesn't really have a guy that you're trying to individually say, all right, he's the guy we got to take you out of the game. So you go with Covington on Tatum, or is there somebody that you try to save Covington for?
I think you got to rely on Covington. Like I said in the pregame, like we spoke about Horford and his points. He's averaging 18 points, 9 rebounds in the playoffs. We spoke about his offense, and I said the most important thing for Boston and their defense is him because he cannot guard Ben Simmons and Joel. But whoever he guards is going to have a very difficult night. And that's the same thing on Rocco. When you got Rocco, you got Ben on the floor. They're two guys. It's rare that whoever they're guarding is getting off. It really is. So with that being said, you have to find a third defender. If JJ's hitting shots, you got to keep him on the floor. So you have to find who's the less of the poison. And like last night, Smart had the worst game out of Smart, Rozier, and Tatum. So we looked at maybe make an adjustment to putting him on Smart, and hopefully Smart doesn't get off. So that's the kind of way you have to look at the counterbalance and the counteract out of everybody.
Right.
Saw 5 minutes from Justin Anderson last night. Was that just Brown grasping at straws, trying to find a combination that worked, or like in the Heat series, could we see a little more of Justin Anderson inserted in?
I think after that defensive performance last night, I think we might see a little bit more of Justin Anderson in this game too, especially if Bellinelli's not hitting shots.
Right.
If Justin Anderson is 15 points.
But in reality, Mark, I mean, we're obviously they lose and everything starts to, you compile, you ask a lot of questions. But does this feel very Heat game too?
It does. It does. It really does, because you look at it from the sidelines and from the TV, you're like, man, Sixers could have won this game. You look at that. You see where he shot the ball. And it brings you back memories of Miami on how they played.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think it's really reminiscent of Game 2 Miami.
Now, you were saying in the post game last night, and I can't figure out if I agree or disagree with you here. You kept saying, like, you didn't feel that they were out of the game, but they never really made the run. And Brown kind of said, well, I don't know that we were ever really in the game because we never – like, they would get to 12, and then it was 8, and then it was 12. Like, they didn't win a quarter. It just didn't seem like they had that extra gear last night to make you – so I agree that they maybe weren't ever out of the game, but I never felt that they had the extra gear to get back into the game, if that makes sense.
Here you go. Sixers – all right, you want to see pure dominance. When the team goes up 20 points, they score on at will, and you can't hit a shot. The 76ers shot the ball horribly last night. Horribly. And they kept chipping away, getting it down to 8, getting it to 7. Then Boston would make a run and go to double digits. Sixers get it back to 7, get 8. So it wasn't something that Boston could keep cruising. Boston shot that ball extraordinarily well from the beginning to the end. And a lot of teams don't do that. Even when teams are having good shooting streaks, they're not going to be able to shoot that ball that well for 4 quarters. Boston did. That was a fluke. Let's just call it what it is. To me, that was a fluke. So what I mean by Sixers wasn't out of it. Sixers kept chipping away. Even though they were playing horribly, they kept chipping away, getting it back down to single digits. Boston hit a couple of threes, put it back up to double digits. Sixers chip away again. So
well, I think Mark just vanished out of the midair right there.
He was going perfect there. He was on a nice run. Everything was coming to fruition. And
yeah.
The next thing you know,
boop. Yeah, he just disappeared. I think he's on there. Josh is talking to him off the air, so he must be back. We'll get him right back on. You know what is interesting? I want to get his take. He said that was a fluke, the way they shot the ball last night. We'll bring Mark back in and let him wind him back up and let him keep going. Yeah, continue, Mark.
So what I mean by that, sorry, my cheeks kept hitting the mute button. So what I meant by that is Boston was just shot the ball for 4 quarters. 4 quarters. 76ers playing bad basketball. They shot horribly from the beginning of the game through the end. So with that being said, they kept chipping away, getting it to single digits. They kept chipping away no matter how well Boston kept shooting the ball. So with that being said, they were not dominated to me. They were not put to rest early where the coach said, let's put our bench in. No. They had to really keep that lead and fight hard for that lead.
Well, that's a good point. They didn't put the Sixers away, but the Sixers didn't make their run, but they still didn't really put – I see what you're saying. They didn't really knock them out, but they basically won on points last night. If you're
exactly. There you go.
Hey, Mark, you think Simmons would be a good matchup defensively against Horford?
That's interesting.
I think Simmons can go. I don't think so. I think yes. First of all, I do. I do think he can. But here's the thing for me.
You had a quick change of heart.
I do think, but I think Ben Simmons can guard any of them. So I go back to, like I said, about the Horford thing. I think Horford defending whoever he defends, no matter what position, is going to be in trouble. I look at Ben the same way. Whoever he's going to guard is going to be in a world of trouble. It was a one possession in the fourth quarter, like 7 minutes in the game, where Rozier took about 15 dribbles to try to beat Ben, and Ben was like, where are you going? You're not going anywhere. Where are you going? Where are you going? No, you're not going anywhere. Like, to me, he could do the same thing for Horford. So my question is, who do we fear most? We fear Rozier going off, Tatum going off, or we fear Horford going off. That's the thing for me. You know, I think Ben is going to shut down. Not shut down. He's going to make it very difficult for whoever he's guarding to get on. But with that being said, we got to really pick our poison.
Yeah.
Which guy we want to stop? I really think we can go with Rocco on Tatum, and I really believe JJ will end up guarding Smart at some point. And I think Ben will stay with Rozier, and it's going to be up to Dario, Joel. It's going to be up to those guys to guard Horford.
Marc Jackson, Sixers pregame and postgame analyst, NBC Philadelphia, endgame. You can see them all throughout the series. Thursday night, game number 2, and then Saturday will be a 5 o'clock start at home, and then a 6 o'clock start. By the way, Mark, I don't like the 5 on a Saturday, and I hate the 6 on a weeknight. I think you're taking some home court advantage away. I mean, that's 6 o'clock's a late.
How are they going to get
tough
there?
Time.
Exactly. They're going to make our the worst crowd to look like the Miami Heat Stadium where people don't come to the third quarter.
Well, Mark, we will we'll have to try to get up there a little extra early on Saturday so we can bump into you over there before you guys do your pregame stuff and see what happens when the Sixers get back home, see if they can steal one Thursday night in Boston. But, tough one last night. But, hey, 7-game series. That's what they're for.
One.
Marc Jackson, everybody, at Jacko2544 on Twitter. Give him a follow. Thanks, pal.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.